Orange has the lead. Alpha Tau Omega in blue in second. Acacia in purple is third. And Team Major Taylor just hanging right in there in fourth.
That's Alpha Tau Omega right now in the front. You got to give a lot of credit to them. They're a fraternity that's been in this race for a long time. They're the fraternity of Howard Howdy Wilcox, who started this race way back in 1951. So certainly a little bit of sentimental favorites.
The Acacia rider, Andrew Svengros, putting on a surge here, and Acacia's getting ready for another exchange. I believe it's going to be Brady Gibney getting out there again. Or is this going to be Robert Allen? It is Gibney who's getting the bike ready. Now he started, no, he didn't start the race. Allen actually started the race for him, but Gibney's one of their big guys.
Yeah, the word on the street was that Gibney has incredible physical attributes. Kirk Ensheimer was telling me that they did a VO2 max test on him earlier, and he seems to be one of the better riders out here. Look for him to maybe do a long set and take advantage of that endurance that he has.
They make a clean exchange. Acacia in purple, dropping into the back of the lead pack. Cutters in white on the lead. Alpha Tau Omega in blue, and Team Major Taylor in green. In a nutshell, Dylan, tell us what a VO2 max test is.
Well, a VO2 max test basically represents a measurement of how much oxygen your body can process. And what that determines is how much wattage or how much energy you can do, how much watts you can put out, essentially. So it's a good representation of how powerful of an engine you have.
Sounds like it hurts. Cutters in white on the lead. Team Major Taylor in green in second place. Alpha Tau Omega in blue in third. Fiji in orange in fourth. ACR, we haven't heard much from them in the last few laps, but they're right there in the lead pack. Briscoe in burgundy is also there. ACR, of course, is in the all black. Tactical pace here.
Yeah, I think, it's like 24 laps to go. Everybody's settling in. They're kind of checking each other out. You want to see what's going to happen in the next couple laps. It's really going to determine who's going to be on the bike for the final.
So Jason, the Cutters team in white leading the race, not with a reputation as great sprinters. When does it have to happen for them? They've got to get a gap, right?
Well, in 1996, you saw the Fidelts go with about 6 laps to go, so it can happen at any time. If Cutters does choose to go, you're going to see them do short sets, and they're going to probably put their best 2 guys out there, Vargo and Fowler, and try to make up some ground on everybody else.
Sigma Chi with a little bit of speed, but Alpha Tau Omega goes with the Sigma Chi rider. Sigma Chi in the gray and white, and you can see from his effort, picking the head up, starting to lose a little bit of form. That's a sign that he's starting to hit the wall in terms of oxygen debt. His cadence is going down. The pack's right with him. This could be a very punishing exchange. Let's see if this is the difference for Sigma Chi in gray and white. He's got it going, but he's going to really have to make up a lot of ground. Fiji has surged to the front, and that's paying the price right there.
And Sigma Chi, this is their first year really up there with the leaders in a while. You can see a little bit of inexperience here come into play as the pace picks up, and that Sigma Chi rider's going to have to chase to catch back up with the leaders. Steve
Spencer of Fiji getting ready for an exchange, and Briscoe and Alpha Tau Omega, the 2 teams involved in the crash, are 1 and 2 right now. Briscoe goes for an exchange. The Alpha Tau Omega rider stays on. Briscoe's exchange is clean. Briscoe's got Matt Kubal on the bike right now, but up at the front in purple, it's Acacia on top. Alpha Tau Omega in blue in second. Cutters in white in third. Team Major Taylor in green, with the great sprinter Commission getting his full engine back, resting right now, is in fourth.
We can see the Major Taylor rider just glued to the wheel of the Cutters rider. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if the coach of Major Taylor said, I want you to just sit on that wheel.
The Acacia rider, Brady Gibney, with a big surge here after holding up the index finger. 20 laps to go. Gibney signaled that he had 1 left in him, and he's going to try to stretch it out here.
And they're probably going to try to get him off the bike, get him rested up for the finish. It looks to me like it's going to come down to a sprint. If you're Team Major Taylor, you got to be very happy with that right now, with one of the strongest sprinters out there.
Ryan Brown may be the penultimate rider for Acacia, as Gibney will take 1 more. It was a bluff. So Gibney's off the front, and I think they let him go. He's got about 60 yards. He's looking behind him, and he knows he's got a gap. doesn't seem to be losing his cadence, but he's got 300 meters left.
You know, and he has another rider with him, so those two guys can work together. And if you look back to the pack, the Cutters and Major Taylor are kind of stuck in traffic while this Acacia rider is sneaking off the front. That was a great move. I love the bluff.
So in comes Gibney. He's going to go again. Oh, he kind of slowed his cadence, and now he puts the hammer down. Alpha Tau Omega keeps getting a ride out of Hans Arneson. Fiji has caught Alpha Tau Omega, but still Gibney in purple is off the front for Acacia. This is a serious move. This is no bluff, it's now.
This is a great opportunity for the Cutters because they're not doing any work. If you see the Fiji rider, the ATO rider, the Sigma Chi rider, they're on the front right now. They're gonna catch the Acacia rider, and when they catch, the Cutters rider needs to throw the hammer down. That's his only opportunity right now before the finish line.
Gibney's got nothing left. It's the Ghost Exchange. It wasn't clean. The bike wiggled a little bit. Ryan Brown is up, but Fiji's back in the lead, so the gamble did not pay off. Acacia couldn't hold the lead. It's Fiji in orange, Briscoe in burgundy, but there goes the Acacia rider with fresh legs.
Those fresh legs make all the difference as you see cinders all over the guys' faces, all over their jerseys. They're just sucking it up. They're trying to get to the end of this race. There's only about 15, 16 laps to go. Motoring along, Acacia has a little advantage. What they're doing right now is they're putting a little hurt on the other teams. The teams are strung off the back.
Well, either way, we're going to remember the gamble move with about 20 laps to go by Brady Gibney. Acacia in purple in front. Alpha Tau Omega in blue in second. Fiji in orange in third. Major Taylor, a little bit of a gap there, and that Major Taylor rider is going to have to do some work as he is facing some wind resistance. Now the Fiji rider puts on his surge as he gets ready for the exchange, and the Acacia rider lets him go.
You see that Figam rider, he's coming in for an exchange. Fiji's been on the front all day long doing a great job.
Acacia makes a switch as well. It's Matt Davis for Fiji. Alpha Tau Omega makes a switch as well. They go, I believe, to Mearsman.
Okay, so if we look, the Cutters rider has a pretty big gap on Major Taylor right now, and the Fiji rider is bridging up to the Cutters, so this is an opportunity for those two guys to get rid of Major Taylor. It's like do or die right now. These guys have got to turn the screws.
Eddie's with Cutters. It's now or never, and Fiji's making a move with bringing Briscoe with him. Eddie, what do you got?
Well, Jack, we are in the Cutter pit right now. Jimmy Kirkham, your thoughts? Who's getting on the bike? Well, he's going to talk to us in a moment. All right. They faked out. He's happy. Jimmy Kirkham, what was that about? A bluff? That's Jason Fowler ready to go out, huh?
We're trying to get fast tempo in the race. First up, the best position to win.
Let me ask you this. Your breakaway attempts today, everybody keyed on you. You weren't able to break away. Jason Fowler's very fast. They're saying Commission and him, it could be quite a sprint. Will Jason be on the bike at the end for you?
It's possible. It's either him or Vargo. It's possible.
All right, good luck to you, Jimmy. Good luck to the Cutters. There you have it, guys. The two fastest guys, Commission riding for Team 1, the pole team, Major Taylor, and then Jason Fowler. Let's not forget in qualifications, he had the fastest lap in quals. It's going to be one heck of a finish, guys.
All right, again, another exchange by Acacia as they're riding the short shifts. I believe it's Robert Allen who's up in the saddle right now on the lead. Cutters in white. In second place in orange is Fiji. In third place in blue is Alpha Tau Omega. And Team Major Taylor in green is right there again, but here comes the Acacia rider in purple up the inside to move into fourth place.
You got to hand it to the Major Taylor rider. He did a great job of closing that gap. That was a dangerous moment.
Yeah, he had the Briscoe rider back there to work with each other a little bit, and that's how they bridged back up. You have to be impressed with the way Acacia's riding today. They've been riding aggressive, attacking all day long. They're sitting in good position right now.
Sigma Chi has gotten spat out the back. They're going to make an exchange, but I think it's going to be too little too late for Sigma Chi, which was in it until there were about 20 laps to go. Alpha Tau Omega, at least for the moment, is in the lead. This is one of the two teams who was in that terrible crash coming out of turn 4 along with Briscoe. Briscoe as well is in the lead pack. The rider in yellow and black on the inside is not on the lead lap. Those are the leaders in blue. Alpha Tau Omega in blue and Cutters in white. Acacia in purple coming around, and they're getting another Acacia rider ready, so this will be 410 meters to go of burnout for the Acacia rider, Robert Allen.
Yeah, he's just trying to dig deep right now, Jack. He knows there's only 11 laps left. They're really pushing the pace, trying to put the hurt on the other teams. They're a little bit back in the pack. Acacia's riding very aggressively. You got to like their chances at the end.
Dylan Gibney is ready for Acacia to take the exchange. Can he go 2.5 miles and still have anything left for the final 100 meters?
Yeah, I think, these guys are definitely prepared for that, and I think this is part of their strategy. And we've seen them doing a bunch of exchanges, so I think they're going to see this all the way down to the last lap.
All right, Gibney's on the bike. Cutters also makes an exchange. So the leaders, with 10 laps to go, Alpha Tau Omega in blue, Team Major Taylor in green, Cutters in white, Fiji in orange, Briscoe in burgundy, and Acacia in purple coming up at the back of that pack. Now the Team Major Taylor rider is making a break. Is it going to be Commission at this point? Now the Team Major Taylor rider drops back into the inside. Cutters is going to have a go of it here.
Great move by Jason Fowler. That's that experience coming into play. He won the race last year. He followed a wheel out. Now he's got a little gap with only 9 laps to go. This could be a good time.
Don't forget, we saw Commission earlier in this little 500 make up about 100 meters in the course of one race. But here's a little bit of a gap. Fiji's trying to bridge it right now. In white, Cutters on the lead. Fiji in orange. Alpha Tau Omega in blue. Acacia in purple. I think they're bringing him back. 3 against 1 usually wins.
And the Cutters rider's on the rivet right now. We think that's Jason Fowler. We need to get a check on that, but he's on the rivet trying to get a gap with only 8 laps to go. It's an opportune time.
That was a great move by the Cutters rider, and the Major Taylor rider again is off the back, and he has a huge gap to close, and even if he closes it, he's going to be in an awful lot of pain on the last lap.
8 laps to go, and Cutters has a lead of about 50 yards on Acacia. Cutters in white, Acacia in purple, Alpha Tau Omega in blue.
Oh, I see Fowler down there in the pit. I was wrong. This might be either David Coughlin or Russell Vandergooten on the bike for Cutters right now, doing a big set as his coach Jim Kirkham's out there yelling at him to keep going. This is beautiful, Dylan. This is stuff that legends are made of, right? With cinders all over your face, the dirt, the grime, trying to dig it out and win this bike race.
This is a great move by Cutters. I'm really excited to say those guys came out today and said, you know what, we're going to make this race hard. And they're doing exactly that. It's
a 20-yard gap for the Cutters rider in white as they pick their way through slower moving traffic. The Dodds House rider in yellow and blue is down a lap. Not on the lead lap. So here comes Cutters in white, Acacia in purple, Alpha Tau Omega in blue, Fiji in orange, also on the lead lap. Here comes the exchange, and Fowler is on.
Fowler's getting on, and he's the sprinter. He's the guy that Eddie was down there talking to Jim Kirkham about, the person that put the strongest lap together in qualifications. He's going to finish the race off, and notice that his white jersey is not scarred by the cinders. He hasn't been on the bike for a while.
That's right. That's right. And he jumped right on the wheel of the Major Taylor rider, and those guys are going to have to take him back up to the front.
He's on the wheel of Stephen Commission, who has not worked that hard to work his way back to within about 30 yards of the leaders. We have seen Commission put the hammer down. Now Fowler goes around Commission. Fowler in white, and Commission's right on his wheel going out, and a Briscoe rider stays right with him. So here we go. About 5 laps to go. Alpha Tau Omega in blue, putting on a surge. Acacia in purple in second. Fiji in orange in third. Cutters in white in fourth. Commission riding for Team Major Taylor in green in fifth. Briscoe and Burgundy in sixth. They are tightly packed. It is going to be a phenomenal finish at the Little 500.
They say the biggest motivator you can have in a race is to finish second one year. You want to come back and get it this year. You got to know that that's what the Team Major Taylor rider is thinking right now.
Alpha Tau Omega making probably its final exchange. 4 laps to go here. It's only about a mile to go. 410-meter track, and this is going to go down in Little 500 legend. The Acacia rider putting on a surge. Can they get away with one more exchange? Fowler's cadence very slow as he rides in the wake of the leader. Suddenly the pace goes tactical again. This is not good news for Cutters, which didn't want to sprint. It's great news for Commission in green because he is right there, only about 5 yards off the lead, riding in dirty air.
Team number 5, Briscoe, just kind of hanging out there in the mix too. That's Tim Smith on the bike for them. They're leaders. What a great race. As you see, we got 6 teams duking it out for the finish.
I don't know what happened to ACR Cycling. We lost track of them, but they're gone. Dodds House dropped out. Team Major Taylor is in it. Cutters in it. Acacia is in it. Alpha Tau Omega is in it. Fiji is also there.
This is a
Cutters
big
with a big surge.
This is Fowler coming in, and he's going to give it to Vargo. This is their last exchange. Let's see how it goes. Vargo's going to be fresh.
Acacia also making a move. Acacia with a clean exchange. It's Gibney on the bike. Cutters hands off. It's Vargo. He's going to go.
Great exchange. Puts him right on there in the back.
2 to go.
Oh, this is exciting. Phi Gamma Delta, Alpha Tau Omega both up there in the orange and the blue. Acacia's got to close a little bit of ground right now.
But with the cadence only at about 90 right now, you got to think Commission is licking his chops. This is the way that Team Major Taylor wanted it to unfold.
It's true, you know, I mean, the Cutters put their rider in there with 2 laps to go, but the Major Taylor rider's been sitting on the wheel. He has not stuck his nose out in the wind yet.
White flag is out. Alpha Tau Omega in blue on the lead. Cutters in white in second. Fiji in orange in third. Commission. They like to make their move on the backstretch. They hit. 3 men go down. Briscoe, Fiji, and Team Major Taylor. It's down to 2 men. Alpha Tau Omega in blue. Cutters in white. Who's got the better sprinter as it comes right down to the line? Alpha Tau Omega into turn 3. Coming into turn 4. Here comes the final surge from Cutters to the outside. They dig for the final line. Alpha Tau Omega wins the Little 500 after a crash with 20 to go.
Wow.
That's Alpha Tau Omega's 3rd win. Incredible finish.
Look at the shoulder in the sling and the torn jersey. Badges of courage as Alpha Tau Omega writes a chapter in Little 500 history.
What an amazing finish, you know, and we can look back to the ATO rider who crashed and his teammate ran right up and got his bike and got back into the race, and that is definitely a moment that will have an outcome on the race today. Yeah, they're DQing him because he took the Cutters rider to the gutter.
So that means that the Cutters team has won it. The celebration quickly shifts down the home stretch, and Cutters has won it on a disqualification.
You're right, Jack. You know, we saw yesterday in the final sprint that the Kappa rider took the Tito rider a little bit offline, okay, and it wasn't enough to call the disqualification. But if we can look at a replay of the finish there, this is interesting. The ATO rider took the Cutters rider. We can watch this coming around the corner, and he takes him in almost all the way across the track and into the crowd, into the other riders.
And I think it's fair to say that was Tom Mearsman for ATO. It's fair to say that the Cutters rider Vargo could have made up a lot of ground if Mearsman wouldn't have taken him into the fence.
I agree.
So obviously the officials are put in a tough spot right there, but they're forced to go ahead and make the call. That's called a hook in cycling. You're not allowed to take somebody into the fence.
Hans Arneson was the rider for Alpha Tau Omega.
And the real story right here is that we had a sprint finish. Team Major Taylor got in a wreck on the last. Let's go down to Eddie and find out what happened.
We got Chris Vargo. Chris, congratulations. What a great ride you had. Tell us about that sprint. We saw him drift very, very far. Disqualification. Tell us about it.
He slowed up a lot. And I couldn't get around him. I knew I could get around him if he would have stayed there. I would have easily gotten around him. I know that for a fact. So, I mean, it was a good race. We knew he could win. We didn't think it'd come down to a sprint, but it did. So, very happy with that.
You know what? You guys made an exchange as late as I've ever seen in Little 500. You get on the bike with less than 2 laps to go. It was a nice exchange. That was key. And then you rode beautiful position.
That was the plan. It came down 2 laps. That was our second plan, and it worked. So.
Congratulations, Cutters. So there you have it, Jack. Here it is, a disqualification. As you guys mentioned yesterday, we saw a little bit of drifting out in the women's race, but this one here, he took them almost to the pit area. A very happy Cutter group as they win their 7th Little 500. Let's go back up to the booth.
Chris Vargo from Bloomington, Indiana. True to the Cutters legend. Here's the final lap. What wild doings we saw.
As we come into the final lap, I guarantee you that the Major Taylor rider was fighting with the Fiji rider for the Cutters wheel. And as they come out of the turn 1 and into turn 2, you see these guys fighting, bumping. Next thing you know, race is over for them.
And these team Major Taylor guys, Dylan, they have a track background. They're used to that. Obviously, they're both trying to get on that fast wheel, the Cutters.
That's right. And then we see what we're down to a 2-horse race.
It's Arneson in blue for Alpha Tau Omega, Chris Vargo in white for Cutters. And Cutters didn't want to sprint, but Vargo thought he was going to win it. That, of course, was assuming that Commission from Team Major Taylor would have been in it.
Oh, you can see him leave his line right there. He goes straight towards the fence. He leaves. His line was the gutter, the inside track, and he left it.
The crash made the difference in this race as Commission was right where he wanted to be until.
And Dylan, as you know, it's physical at the end of a bike race. These guys are throwing elbows, they're fighting over wheels.
That's right. So 4 riders went down as a result of that.
The Acacia rider, the last to crash as he just couldn't avoid the debris flying about 30 miles an hour. And Commission, who brought such promise into the race, a second place finish last year and was in good position, but the handlebars touched. That set the Fiji rider's front wheel to wiggling. And with the footing as bad as it was, he wasn't going to save that.
I'm really proud of this guy, Hans, the award. He led the sprint from about 3/4 of a lap to go. And he was still the first rider whose wheel touched the finish line. In addition to that, he was out in the race for over 40 laps. I think even more, right? Probably even more. I couldn't count them all. So anyway, I'd like to present on the behalf of TI Craft and its almost 4 million participants, Hans, the Most Valuable Rider Award. And a brand new Le Mans bicycle for him to do as he pleases with.
That's a pretty sweet reward for Hans Arneson, who fouled coming out of turn 4, making the Cutters the winners. And the Cutters team is just finishing a victory run around this 410-meter track.
And what a race, Jack. Could you have ever scripted what was going to happen at the end? 4 riders going down, 2 of them duking it out, and one guy throwing the hook.
You know, the Greek influence is so huge. There's so many fraternities involved in the men's race, so many sororities involved in the women's race, and Cutters end up winning the big prize at the end of the greatest weekend.
Hats off to the Cutters program. Jim Kirkham and Jay Paulsgrove, they do a wonderful job. Chris Katowski's always around. Their riders are David Coughlin riding in his first race. Jason Fowler picks up his second ring, riding in his 3rd race. Russell Vandergooten in his first race gets a ring. And Chris Vargo, an exceptional spring for him in his 2nd race, winning the Little 5. It's the Cutters' 7th championship here at the Little 500, the 54th running. Great job, guys.
They will save the cinders. They wash off their faces and tell tales for years and years to come.
There's Jimmy Kirkham down there, the redhead. What a program they have.
A little bit of bitterness being voiced from the Alpha Tau Omega supporters, but perhaps they had the worst angle. They were looking perpendicular to the path of the riders. The best angle really was the one we showed as we were looking straight down that final stretch, and you clearly could see Arneson change his line and force Vargo well to the outside of the preferred route.
It's really too bad that he put himself in a situation where the official had to decide the race, but then again, that's something where the official does need to step up and make the call.
It was a tremendous afternoon of racing here in Bloomington.
As Fowler holds it up, you see him pick up his 2nd championship here at the Little 500. He's certainly going to have a great career. 2 wins. He's going to be a good candidate for the Hall of Fame.
Cutters the champions after an amazing day. Surviving crashes, picking their way through traffic, staying out in front of a last lap disaster, which finished the day for 4 teams and then winning on a foul. We will be back to talk to the champs. On the 25th anniversary of the Academy Award-winning film Breaking Away, the Cutters win it again, this time in dispute as ATO has issued a protest, Alpha Tau Omega protesting the final, but the Cutters are going to walk away champions. Eddie Van Geis is with a happy foursome.
Happy Cutters, they win number 7, the winningest independent team. And Jimmy Kirkham, you qualified 10th this year. We talked about 20 years ago, your first time in the race, you won from the 10th position, but it took a little extra doing today.
It was a tough race. A tribute to everyone out there. Everyone battled hard, everyone marked this, and it was a really struggle on everybody's part. I'm really proud of these boys for coming together, laying it all on the track, fighting till the very end. And I'm so happy for the win.
Jimmy, yesterday in the women's race, we saw a little bit of drifting out in that one. Today it was more. Did you think you could get a disqualification from where you were standing?
You know, I accepted second place. We worked our tail off all season to do our best. If they gave us second, we got second. I'm happy for the ruling. It apparently was impeding violation, so we accepted it, and we're definitely happy for the win.
There you have it. What a big win again. History repeats itself. 20 years later, the Cutters win their 7th. Let's go back to Jack and the gang up there.
Smooch. Thank you, Eddie. Let's go back to the last lap. It doesn't get much more dramatic than this as 6 riders have a shot.
Wow.
There it gets wiggly. The rider in orange from Fiji loses control, touches handlebars, and there they go. And the Acacia riders last to hit the wreckage. Now it's a 2-man race.
And at this point, you're trying to win it into turn 3, and Hans knows this. He's going for it. He's doing an excellent job of holding Chris Vargo off his wheel. Vargo's tucked in there. Right at this point, Vargo's thinking he's got to come around out of that 4th turn.
And he seems to have him.
He seems to have him right there. Hans makes a mistake and coming too far out.
And here's where it's conclusive. You see him change the line.
All the way from the pole line to the other side of the track, almost taking the Cutters rider into the infield of the other riders.
And it's almost into the pit. I feel like at that point the officials almost have to make the call. With that angle, running a guy into the pit, Cutters absolutely deserve this championship. It's a great race for them and picking up their 7th win.
The checkered flag went up, and then in quick succession, the red flag went up. Now the women's race yesterday that we brought to you live on HDNet had a similar finish, but the angle wasn't quite as great. Let's go back about 24 hours. Here's the women's finish. What's the difference that makes this not a foul?
Well, I think
that's 1 lap to go.
The difference is going to be, Jack, that she doesn't take him all the way into the pit. It's a distance away from the gutter. It's a distance away from that line that they started out on. So that's Jessica Sapp on the bike for Kappa Kappa Gamma. She's going to hold off Bree Kovac.
Yeah, you know, and Jessica, we're going to see this when we come out of turn 4, but they're both sprinting side by side. They're entering turn 3 here. They're going to come out pretty soon here, and I think what's going to happen is that Jessica's just going to look to her right a little bit.
But still hold the line.
Yeah,
there
she doesn't come all the way from the pole line to the pit area.
And you can't see the pits in the screenshot.
No.
She started coming out wide, but I suppose you got to allow for the centrifugal force at that speed.
Absolutely.
On shaky footing, as a cinder track is not ideal for biking, that there's going to be a little bit of swing there, but then she did correct to straight as opposed to going diagonal, so you're telling me that's the difference.
I really think so. I think it's the amount of movement is really the difference there, and it just didn't look as intentional.
Yeah, it'd be great if we could see the guys finish now and just compare the angle that they did come in at. Because when the guys finished, you could see the pit lines. You could see how close they were to the fence. You can't do that.
The ATO rider, even before he exited the corner, was moving off the pole line.
Jason, is this unprecedented to have a race decided on a foul? You see the sportsmanship here. Is there agreeing at the end of the race here, or maybe having differing opinions, but at least talking to each other about it? Is this unprecedented?
I've watched a lot of race tapes. I've raced in 4 races and been around this event for a long time, and I haven't seen it before. It's really unfortunate for the Alpha Tau Omega team, who rode a great race, right? They rode a great race. They were up front at the end. They were where they needed to be. Nothing against them. Hans rode a great race. But this will definitely go down in history as something that doesn't happen every day. A foul being called to decide the little 500.
Amazing drama unfolding today. We saw 33 teams start this race. 10 were on the lead lap until about 25 laps to go. An incredibly violent two-team crash with about 20 to go, yet we saw both of those two teams among the last 6. Here it is with about 20 laps to go. Briscoe in Burgundy goes down, and then ATO right behind him. Yet those two teams in Burgundy, Briscoe and Alpha Tau Omega in blue, would have a chance to win it when there was a white flag. Briscoe, in an amazing twist, got involved in another crash before the checkered flag, and Alpha Tau Omega, for only a moment, thought it had won this race.
And the Cutters, year in, year out, seem to train harder than the other teams. They said there was only 5 days where they weren't outside on the roads training this winter, even with snow down and 20-degree weather. It's something that they deserve, that they've worked hard for. We saw two teams with a great effort at the end, both Alpha Tau Omega and the Cutters just coming out on top.
Yeah, Jason, has there ever been a crash like that on the last lap where like 4 of the riders in the lead lap get taken out?
I haven't seen one, Dylan. I think we need to go back to the archives. Yeah. Folks down at the Wilcox House do an excellent job in our student foundation. We might have to check in with them.
Now you see,
it makes for exciting TV, but at the same time, we're sitting here going how unfortunate it is, isn't it?
It's true. It's true. I mean, you know, that's bike racing. That's what makes it so exciting. And you got to hand it to the Major Taylor rider because he had orders. I'm sure their coach said, "I want you on the Cutter's wheel," and he was fighting with it. And unfortunately, it went a little too far, and they both hit the deck.
Sometimes it's just not your fault. Yet there isn't much consolation for those who come up short. Team Major Taylor, second place last year, in the top 5 this year, but they couldn't get what they really wanted most, the championship. It goes to Cutters. We will be right back to Bloomington, Indiana to wrap it up. The Cutters write another chapter in the legend. HDNet Sports returns to Bloomington, Indiana, and hip-hopping for fun. The Cutters are champions, winning after they were fouled in the final stretch. And alongside Jason Sonnenberg and Dylan Casey, I'm Jack Edwards. What an incredibly dramatic afternoon. You know, after watching the tapes from last year, I thought it couldn't get any better than that, but this might have been better than that.
It makes for great TV, Jack, and that's a moment that Chris Fargo and the Cutters and Hans Arneson are absolutely going to remember the rest of their life. I mean, the script was told. They both rode a great race. They were there at the end. It's a special day here in the Little 500 as the Cutters pick up another win.
Dylan, is this an example that we're beginning to see a leveling of the field? You know, it's not just the bikes and the track and all that, but the gene pool's getting deeper for this sport in this country.
You know, you're absolutely right, Jack. I'm really impressed at how tactical and technical these riders are becoming, and they're very serious. They're training, and you know, I think the crash happened there in the last corner because the Major Taylor rider had strict orders to be on the Cutter's wheel coming into the last corner. And unfortunately, it didn't work out because they were bumping elbows there, and you know that's bike racing. But it's really exciting to see this type of bike racing on a collegiate level.
My adrenal glands are worn out. Let's get Eddie Van Geis's final thoughts.
Fellas, I think you hit the nail on the head. The balance in the Little 500 has never been better. It is such a huge event, and riders train all year for this big intramural event. Today's race had everything. We had sunshine and we had rain. The danger of the race may be ending early. That didn't happen. And of course, the usual strategic chess match. Everybody making moves. Which rider am I going to place at what time before the end of the race? And then an outstanding sprint finish. And I don't know if it's ever happened before in the history of Little 5, but a disqualification by one rider. And the Cutters, well, history again, they win their 7th. We had everything, guys. It was a pleasure. What a bike race today.
Eddie Van Geis, well said. Yeah, the best news perhaps that everybody walked away from this year's accidents in the men's race, and everybody who crashed in the women's race turned out to be all right. Yeah, we did see it all, but what we saw most of all was a lack of any sense of self-entitlement. These are athletes who were doing it for themselves, doing it for their housemates, doing it for their fraternity brothers and sorority sisters. The executive producer of HDNet Sports is Daryl Ewalt, who also produced this weekend's Little 500 races from Bloomington, Indiana. Oh, the crashes. Oh, we saw it all. Kent Sample has been our director. It has been a great pleasure working with Dylan Casey, Jason Sonnenberg, and with Eddie Van Geist down in the pits, and a sensational crew that put this thing together and is just getting set to tear it apart. These guys are getting set to tear it apart all night long. The riders of the Little 500. Cutters win it, adding to the legend. 7th time on top for them. This is Jack Edwards from Bloomington, Indiana. Thanks for joining us on HDNet Sports. We'll see you from here next year.